So let's talk about one solution that I wrote for the Mad Libs, always keeping in mind that there's more than one way to solve this. In fact, I specifically show two ways to solve this. If you didn't solve it exactly the same way, that's completely fine as long as you pass the test suite. That's all that matters. So we already have a lot of the structure in place. We already know how to read the input file. If we define this with a file type, then we can immediately call uh, args.file.read. So we have that. We talked about the regular expression to find the placeholders in the text. And so we talked about how to detect if there are no placeholders, how to error out of our program, if how to leave early with an exit value that indicates an error, and how to print to standard error. We talked about all those things. So now we need to handle substituting these placeholder values. So one of the things is that we're going to repeatedly need to ask, please give me a something. And so in the solution here, I create this template, give me a something, a blank. So I'm going to pop that in here, um, give me a something. And I'm going to say for, now what we looked at here, when we called find all on the text, what we got back is a list of tuples. And the tuple is the part of speech here and the name. This is really the placeholder and then the name. In here I call it placeholder and POS for part of speech. So for placeholder and part of speech in RE find all, looking for this pattern in the text. So what's going to be happening there, and I have a, let's see, no, I guess I was thinking about something else, how that's going to be unpacked. I think I thought I showed that. Yes, for placeholder and name. So the placeholder looks like adjective, and it has the angle brackets. And then the name of this is the bit that's in the middle. I can iterate over this list of tuples, and the first value will go into the first variable that I have, and the second value will go into the second value there. And so that's what I'm doing here. Here I'm just calling it placeholder and part of speech. So for each one of those, I'm going to use the input function, and I'm going to use the template. I'm going to call format method, and then I'm going to please give me, I'm going to have to figure out an article for this, and then the part of speech that I'm going to use. The article, this is going to take us all the way back to chapter 2, the crow's nest, where we had to figure out the right article for a given input. So, we were choosing an for any word that started with a vowel, otherwise we're choosing a. So the way I wrote that here in the solution was to choose the article, and one of the things that I hope that you can appreciate here is this was a whole program that we wrote in the beginning. And now it's nothing more than a single line in a much larger program that we're writing. So, if you've made it this far with me, I hope that you feel pretty strong about that effort. So here, hopefully you look at this and you understand that you can say part of speech, lowercase that, look at the first character. And if that is in the string A, E, I, O, U, choose an, otherwise choose A. And that's it. That's how we get our article. And what was probably a struggle back when you worked on that exercise is now no more than a bythought, a passing thought. So we have this article, and we're going to use that in our template to say, give me a something. But here I have this kind of complicated, so what we need to do is, I'm going to write this out longhand and then I'm going to show you the other way. If we have args.inputs, then we're going to, let's say, our answer is going to be equal to something, whatever is the answer from the user. And if there are args inputs, our answer is going to be equal to the first one, args.inputs.pop 0. We want the first one. Else, our answer is going to be equal to what we get from input. So I'll say answer is equal to, let me spell it right, where I use the template, give me a article and then part of speech. And then I'm going to use that. For now, let's just print answer, and let's just do just this much. So if I do this with foo and bar, it says foo and bar and give me a preposition. So what's happening is that it actually ran out of arg's inputs. So now it's asking me for the preposition. Let me look at the way, well, let's say I'm not going to worry about that now. Let me run this without any inputs, and you see it's saying the inputs is equal to none, and so it's saying give me an adjective, and so I can say blue, give me a noun, dog, give me a preposition, into, give me a noun, boat, and so it got all of the all the answers, and we didn't substitute them in. We didn't take care of that part, but we were just printing them. So we see that we are able to get the answers out of this. And so what I'd like to show you is a shorter way to write this. This is a lot of code to handle this. Really what we want here is we want args pops 0. So our answer is going to be equal to that if there are args inputs. Let's see, else we want to call input. So we're writing, instead of an if expression, we're writing an if, instead of an if statement, we're writing an if expression. Let's see, I think that should work. Let me test it. Perfect. It's asking for an adjective. If instead, so I hit Control Z to get out of that, I do, foo, let me just do A, B, C, D, E, F, something like that. We see here that it's going to use the inputs instead of asking me. So that's just a shorter way. It's a complex bit of code, but hopefully seeing it first written as the if statement, it makes more sense. So we want to pop off the 0th element from arg's inputs if there are some inputs. Else, we're going to call the input function with this template, give me A, and the article and the part of speech. So now we have this answer, and we want to put it into the text. So we showed this earlier. We're going to use the placeholder. That's the pattern that we're looking for in the text. It's going to be like angle bracket, adjective angle bracket. And we want to replace that placeholder with the answer from our user from the text. And in order to accumulate these changes through this for loop, we need to overwrite text. So text is going to be equal to the result of replacing this placeholder with the answer. And then when we're done with all this, we should be able to print the text. I believe that's all that's required. So let me just, yes, the quick A, B, jump C, the lazy B. So it took those from the command line. And if we run these without the inputs, it's going to ask us, blue, again, noun, cat, preposition, into, noun, egg. And the quick blue cat jumps into the lazy cat. Interesting. Let's see. Into the lazy cat. Oh, yes. Okay. So this gets at something that's really interesting. So cat, the blue cat, and then cat, and it didn't use egg. And so why is that? And the answer has to do with this RE sub. And I show this in the here, for instance, when we want to replace, let's say we have dog, we want to replace noun with dog. Noun occurs twice in the text, and so RE sub works in such a way that it replaces both instances. It replaces all the instances of that pattern with this text, which is not what we want. We only want it to do once. And so we have to say count is equal to 1. So at this point, if we were to say make test, we would be failing. Let's see, actually it's failing on no blanks. Well, let me come back to that in just a second. Let's go ahead and add this because we know that we want count is equal to 1. Let's go make sure that this works. I wish that would go away. There we go. So let's do blue cat onto egg. And now we say the blue cat jumps onto the lazy egg. That works. So we needed to do count. Let us run the make test and let's see where we're failing. let's see. So if it's expecting assert inputs equals, because we still have this, we're printing this. We need to get rid of that statement. Let's try again, make test. There we go. So now we're passing all of our tests, which is pretty exciting. Let me go back and remove that count is equal to 1, and let's see if we can understand the test output to make sure that we understand. You see here, it's saying, I want the quick surly car jumps under the lazy. It got the quick under the lazy car, and it wanted under the lazy bicycle. So this is what we would have gotten without the count is equal to 1, because it takes car and it substitutes it for both of the nouns being found there. So we have to say count is equal to 1. This is similar to string replace. If you are in the string module, if you have a string, so if I were to say text, we look at this and I say text dot replace. Let's find something that we see a lot. Okay, how about t? If I replace t with x, what we see is that all of the t's in the text get replaced with x, not just the first one. So we see this pattern not just in regular expressions with Python. So something to keep in mind. And let's see if there's any differences here from my solution with what I'm showing you here. Nope, that looks just about the same. So that is how I would solve this using regular expressions. In the next video, I'll talk about a non-regular expression way that we could approach this.